Hey guys, Peter here to do an album review. Today I'm here to tell you about the latest from Aborted, Maniacult, out September 10th on Century Media Records. This album has 11 tracks, 40 minutes in length, and this the band's 11th full-length studio album. They are a Belgian death metal band. Now this is a record that has a lot of volatility. It's a roller coaster ride. There's a lot of things for you to digest as a listener. And because of it, you have to define the structure of the record as best as possible so that the journey that you take from the first to the last song becomes a little bit more cohesive, becomes a little bit better defined, so that the overall playability is impacted in a positive way. Starting off the record with Verderf, I think, is the best way possible. A song that works as the opening track and as an intro. It opens the doors for you, it allows you to take your first steps into this record, it eases your experience into the album. Then you have Verbolgen, an interlude track that comes in the middle part of the record, and it gives you a sense of a break. You need that as well. Otherwise, this album would become a little bit overbearing if you continue from the first song to the last song with all the aggression that it has without a single moment to rest, a single moment to take a break, to take a breath, and recharge for the second half of this record. Then at the end you have the Folly of the Gods, a track that has a built-in outro. So this works really well because there's a sense of finality to it. When you listen to this song, you see that light, you're getting closer to that light. Once you reach it, the album is over. So these three songs play a very important role in defining the parameters and defining the borders that really controls the chaos that exists within the sound, within the record itself. The sound, it's a very volatile record. You see the death metal portion of the album, portion of the sound being the spinal cord of this record. But there's other genres that come in and influence where this album is going, where these songs are moving. So because of that, you have a lot of different things coming at you as a listener. There's not one single formula that this album uses track in and track out. This record really goes in a lot of different places. Perhaps the two things that you take away from the soundscape of this album is, on one hand, you're going to have a lot of heaviness, you're going to have a lot of aggression, you're going to have a lot of brutality. On the other hand, you're going to have a lot of darkness. This is a very dark sounding album. Sometimes those two elements coexist as one on the same track. Sometimes they live separately from each other on different tracks. But those two are the main takeaways as far as the soundscape goes and as far as the overall definition of what that sound is doing. Deeper within that sound, I don't think you can walk away from this record without talking about the drums. My goodness, they are in your face. They're heavy, they're brutal, they have aggression, they have intensity. They really push this album forward, and they stay very consistent in terms of what they're doing from the beginning all the way to the end. There's a few variations here and there, but overall, when you walk away from this album, you're going to feel like you got pounded by the sound of the drums, by how heavy they were, by how intense they were, and by how thick they sounded. They really gave a little bit more of a footprint to this overall record. I really like the drum sound, I really like the execution, I really liked what they offered and how they allowed the guitars to come on top of it and be the ones that really direct the experience. Sometimes a little bit more melodic, sometimes a little bit more driven, sometimes a little bit darker. The guitars really set the atmosphere while the drums create the foundation that allows that atmosphere to be a little bit more volatile. You also have the bass. Some tracks the bass has more of a role or more of a predominant role where you can really hear its definition and you can really hear the impact that it's having in the sound and the atmosphere that that sound is creating. But this is not true throughout the whole record, and that to me is perhaps the single losing point that this album has, is not having a more of a defined role for what they wanted out of the bass, because the tracks in which the bass really jumps into the forefront become very distinct within themselves from the rest of the record, and I would like to see that bass used a little bit more, or at least give it a little bit more predominance throughout the whole entire album. I think you would balance the record a little bit better, would still allow the volatility that exists to be there, would still allow the aggression that exists to be there, but would create a little bit more of a red line that would connect this album slightly better, and you don't just need the structure to be there to hold it all in as one. The vocals go where the sound is going. They are as volatile, they're as diverse as the sound itself, and I like that approach. I don't want necessarily a one-size-fits-all from the first song to the last song, specifically where the tracks don't have that definition themselves. So I really love the vocals on this record. I love the aggression that they have. I love the impact that they bring. I love the darkness that they give to some of the tracks, and just really defining the path and going with the song, flowing with the tracks really well, allowing them to just intertwine and be just another layer in the overall experience of this record. Overall, this is an album that took a lot of the great things of the previous records and brought them more into the forefront, gave them more of a predominant role. This is a easier listening record from Aborted. So if you're coming in expecting just pure brutality, sheer brutality from the beginning to the end, non-stop, you want to be putting through a meat grinder, this record is going to disappoint you because it doesn't have that sort of definition, that cohesive nature from the first all the way to the last song. It's an easier to digest record. It has more layers, but the layers are better defined. There's a little bit more melody. There's a lot more darkness in it. So because of that, this album feels better to your ears. It feels easier to digest. It feels easier for you to listen to it, get to the end, press play, and come back again to the beginning. So I feel like this is an album that's going to resonate with some fans while perhaps disappointing others that want something a little bit more meaty, something a little bit more grinding. This album has a lot more sound, has a lot more definition of sound to offer, and that's where the strength of this record resides. As far as favorite tracks goes, I want to start off with Portal to Vacuity. Aggression, both musically and vocally, that's what this song is going to offer you from the beginning all the way through. It has a great tempo. The drums come in, they provide the foundation to the track, they provide the foundation to that aggression, while the guitars push more the technical side on the forefront, push more the melodic side on the forefront, allowing you to feel like you're being guided by the guitars while your feet are still grounded in that drum sound. There's a middle bridge that allows the song to breathe. What the interlude does to the album, the middle bridge does to this song. I really like that aspect because you're getting pounded with a lot of aggression, a lot of intensity, a lot of heaviness. Having that moment for you to just kind of like ease out of that allows the aggression and intensity and heaviness that comes after to feel even bigger, even stronger. So that's exactly how this song is put together. The guitar solo on this track follows the technicality that we saw throughout the track, just gives it more of a spotlight and a moment to shine, but it really completes the song really well. Next you have a Vulgar Quagmire. Nice intro, it eases you into the song, and after that you're pounded. It's a track that the drums hold you down with the heaviness that they have, with the aggression that they carry. It just piles on top of you, and then everything piles on top of that. The guitars at times offer some grooviness in this song, creating some ebbs and flows, some interesting dynamics within the track itself. I thought was really a fine moment that defines the track a little bit better, that makes the song feel not as heavy in certain pockets, but overall the overpowering of the drums, the overpowering of everything else, of the vocals, really feel like they're the defining factor. They really feel like they encompass the track so well that this is just a brutal song through and through, regardless of how groovy it is in certain pockets. Last but not least, you have Grotesque, a thick sounding song. That is a song that has a lot of volume, that has a lot of thickness, that you feel like you're breaking wall after wall as you're listening to it, as you're navigating to it. The guitars allow the track to give you some moments in which you can breathe, but it never really takes away from the overall thickness of sound that the track has. It just mixes them well. It allows them to coexist with one another, offering you a little bit of a roller coaster ride at times. Sometimes you go up, sometimes you come down. There's different momentums within the song itself. It has a more melodic chorus, and that chorus really jumps into the forefront, allowing it to be very catchy and very hooky because of the simplicity of the lyrics, but perhaps more so because of the melody that the guitars offer to that specific portion of the song. And that is really the peaks and valleys. You got the verses, you got the chorus, you're always navigating between these two, but the thick sound that combines both of them stays consistent from beginning all the way to the end. This is it. This is Aborted with Maniacult, out September 10th on Century Media. Let me know your thoughts on the band, on the singles. Use the comment section below. I'll be reading those and getting back to you. Take care, guys.